What happened to the Madleen Gaza boat activists detained by Israel? On June 9, in a brazen act of defiance against international law and human rights, Israeli forces seized the Madleen Gaza boat in the open waters of the Mediterranean Sea, forcibly intercepting a peaceful mission aimed at breaking the brutal and suffocating siege imposed on Gaza. Aboard the vessel were 12 courageous activists from the Freedom Flotilla Coalition, determined to challenge the blockade and shine a light on the humanitarian crisis gripping the region. In a blatant violation of their rights, these activists were abducted far from any national jurisdiction and taken to Israel, where they faced arbitrary detention. Within just one day, 4 activists, among them the internationally renowned Swedish climate and human rights advocate Greta Thunberg, were rapidly deported after being coerced into waiving their legal right to appear before an Israeli judge, and compelled to sign documents falsely accusing them of illegal entry into Israel. The remaining 8 activists stood their ground, refusing to be silenced or intimidated. Despite intense pressure, 6 of them, including Rima Hassan, a French-Palestinian member of the European Parliament, were deported on Thursday, while 2 French nationals remain held in Israeli custody, their fate hanging precariously as they await deportation. This is the stark reality of the Madleen Gaza activists' ordeal, a story of courage met with repression, resilience confronted by injustice. The 12 brave activists aboard the Madleen represented a diverse and determined coalition of voices from around the world, united in their fight against the Gaza blockade. On Tuesday, Israel swiftly deported 4 of them: Greta Thunberg, the globally recognized Swedish climate and human rights icon, Sergio Toribio from Spain, Baptiste André from France, and Omar Fayyad, a courageous French journalist reporting for Al Jazeera Mubashir. Yet, the struggle did not end there. By Thursday, 6 more activists were forcibly expelled, including Rima Hassan, a powerful French-Palestinian member of the European Parliament and a relentless advocate for justice, alongside Mark van Ren from the Netherlands, Swaib Ordu from Turkey, Yasmin Akar from Germany, Tiago Avila from Brazil, and Riva Viard from France, as confirmed by Adila and reported by the Turkish news agency Anadolu. 2 French nationals, Pascal Morieras and Yanis Mamdi, himself a dedicated journalist for the French left-wing outlet The Blast, remain unjustly detained, their freedom hanging in the balance as they await release. These activists, journalists, and politicians are not just names. They are symbols of resistance, bearing witness to oppression and demanding accountability in the face of brutal repression. The 12 activists from the Madleen were detained in Given Prison, located in Ramla, a city strategically positioned between West Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. Within this harsh environment, 2 activists, Rima Hassan and Tiago Avila, were subjected to solitary confinement, a punitive measure confirmed by the legal rights organization Adila. Hassan's solitary confinement followed her courageous act of inscribing Free Palestine on the prison walls, a symbolic gesture of resistance. Meanwhile, Avila undertook a hunger and water strike in protest against Israel's relentless blockade of Gaza, which has precipitated a dire humanitarian crisis marked by widespread starvation. Following their release on Thursday, Adila publicly condemned the treatment the activists endured, stating that volunteers were subjected to mistreatment, punitive measures, and aggressive treatment, with particular concern over the use of solitary confinement as a form of punishment. The question of legality looms large. Did Israel violate international law in arresting the Madleen activists? The answer, according to esteemed legal scholar Luigi Daniele from the University of Molise in Italy, is a resounding yes. Israel holds no lawful authority to intercept vessels in international waters or to obstruct humanitarian aid destined for a starving civilian population in Gaza. As the occupying power, Israel carries an unequivocal international legal obligation to facilitate, not hinder, the delivery of aid to Gaza. Daniele further emphasized to an Italian media outlet that Israel has no legal justification for the use of force or permanent aggression within occupied Palestinian territories, including actions taken against the Madleen activists en route to Gaza. Supporting this, Adila argued that the activists were not attempting illegal entry into Israel, but were instead navigating toward Gaza, an occupied Palestinian territory protected under international law. Despite these compelling arguments, Israeli courts summarily dismissed the legal challenges presented by Adila, raising profound concerns about the rule of law and the protection of human rights in this ongoing genocide. According to Israeli law, the remaining Madleen activists are slated to serve a maximum of 72 hours in detention before deportation to their home countries. This timeline suggests that all activists should have been released by June 12. However, uncertainty surrounds the fate of the 2 French nationals still held, Pascal Morieras and Yanis Mamdi, as it remains unclear whether additional charges might prolong their imprisonment. Diplomatic efforts have been uneven. While France's Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot publicly expressed expectations for the swift return of its nationals, 2 French activists remain detained. Brazil vigorously demanded the release of its activist Tiago Avila, with diplomats actively engaging in legal support immediately after the interception. Turkey's response was sharp and unequivocal, condemning Israel as a terrorist state following the Madleen seizure. In stark contrast, Germany and the Netherlands have notably refrained from issuing public demands for the release of their citizens, including Mark van Ren, the Dutch captain of the Madleen, who personally appealed for urgent diplomatic intervention just before the ship's interception. Highlighting the troubling silence of key European institutions, UN Special Rapporteur Francesca Albanese criticized the muted response to the unlawful detention and harsh treatment of European Union citizens, describing it as emblematic of the deep-rooted complicity within European institutional culture regarding Israel's actions. This complex web of diplomatic silence and selective advocacy starkly underscores the persistent challenges faced by activists confronting the Gaza blockade, and calls into question the international community's commitment to justice, human rights, and the rule of law.